Ashley, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for coming. We're so excited.
course,
Huge
thanks.
fans. We're obsessed with you.
Thank you.
How's your heart?
My heart?
Yeah,
So
I know it's heavy. We do that a lot. Yeah.
my heart is great.
Okay,
My heart
great.
is doing very well.
Okay,
Love.
Thank
great.
you for asking.
We are so glad to hear.
Yeah.
Congratulations
Thank you.
on being a happily married woman.
I am.
All right. Yes.
She is.
Yeah.
We are very excited to get into everything.
Are
with
we
you.
wearing a ring?
No, because I was walking around
okay.
town and I'm just like,
Oh.
eh.
Can't
it's
be
like-
seen.
It's
a big old
yeah.
rock.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
take this.
Yeah.
Someone
Okay,
will
yeah.
take a picture
We
and the
are
internet.
recording
yeah.
this
Yeah. Oh,
prior
true. Okay.
to the finale
Yep.
being released.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
We are very excited to have you here.
Same.
Well, one, we just obviously, like many fans, fell in love with you and your relationship watching you on your journey.
Thank you.
Yeah. How did you end up on the show?
My friend from high school who I don't even talk to that often sent it to me on Instagram. I was like, oh, you'd be perfect for this. And I was like, I don't know. So I called my godbrother and I was like, do you know about this show? Because I wanted to make sure it wasn't something like a little ratchet or, something that would like affect my career.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh, no, this would be the perfect one for you to do because like it's solely based on like love and like friendships and things like that. So I was like, okay. So I literally got out of bed and recorded my like intro video in front of my closet door, like no makeup, no anything. Very bold of me.
Yes.
And so I just kind of like dove in. I was like abstinent that year and I was really focusing on myself. So I was like, this could be a next step to that. And it most certainly was.
Had you been a fan before?
No, I am
No.
now.
Have you gone
Tune
back
in,
and watched
tune in.
any old seasons?
So I did watch season 6, obviously, because I knew by that point that I had just filmed.
Right.
And then before I went, I watched season 4 mainly to see what they wore because we had to make sure we didn't have like logos and things like that. So I was like, oh, let's see what they wore.
Okay, yeah.
And just to kind of get a gist of like the conversations that people have in the pods and just like what the dynamic was with the women like in the lounge and things like that. Because I was like, oh, like worst come to worst, I'll just leave with a bunch of girlfriends, which I love.
Yeah.
Total girls girl. So
So you mentioned you were abstinent for a year before. What drove you to that decision?
dating in
Like, what the
DC. Dating in DC.
Stupid question.
Yeah. Literally.
Well, she implied that it was a choice.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it was actually December 22nd.
Oh,
I
shit.
remember the exact date of
Okay.
2022.
4 o'clock in the
Yep.
afternoon.
Yep. And I just was like, I left like a date with this guy and I was just called my god sister. And I remember like tearing up and being like, I just feel so like not connected to anyone. And I feel like I'm wasting my time and my soul, my body, all of it. And I'm not a casual girl. I tried to be. I wanted to see like what Sex in the City was like,
Yes.
And I was just like, I can't do I just it's cool if you want to do that. If that's your thing, I love that for you. But I just am not her.
You're not a Samantha.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I love her though. She's my favorite. But
Samantha's your favorite?
not Carrie really, but Samantha's close second. Just because like I live vicariously through her, I guess.
Yes.
And just like the boldness of her. So I tried to be that girl, and it just wasn't fulfilling for me.
Mhm.
So that year, I was like, okay, I'm going to focus on myself. I'm going to focus on my career. I'm going to focus on my relationship with God, and I just want to kind of cancel all ties to anyone. So that meant not even going out on dates because it just that could lead to anything, and a little liquor, you never know. So I was just like, I'm going to totally cut off everything. And then what's
It was
meant
like-
to find me will.
Easier not to buy the cookies at the grocery
It
store than
really
not
is.
eat the cookies
Yeah.
at home.
And then like see them sitting there and like, maybe.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I just
Nick
didn't.
struggles with that.
Yeah.
The cookies part.
Which is why I think Natalie's trying to kill me because yesterday she bought Oreos.
Well, I do buy things like for myself
Double
sometimes.
stuffed or regular?
I
She
like
likes the
thins.
thins.
Oh,
I like
wow.
thins because I don't really love the cream.
I like
Okay,
the double
okay.
stuff, but
Yeah,
turns
same.
out any Oreo is pretty good.
I freeze them.
Smart.
That's something you would do.
I
You love a freezer.
I like a frozen chocolate.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Back to you not having sex.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very interesting choice you made. And did you find that it worked for you?
Well, yeah, apparently, it did work
Okay.
for me, but it was hard.
Yeah.
It was boring as hell.
What did you learn about yourself during that period?
I learned so much. Along that journey, while I was abstinent, I also was like reading self-help books, like this book called Welcome Home by Najwa Zebian. And I just learned that when you're centered within yourself, when people come and when people go, you still remain. And so you don't have to feel lonely because you have you and no one has you better than you.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was the greatest thing I could have done because I've always been confident, but I am a people person, and I really began to love just my alone time and not consider it as lonely, but consider it as me time and just feeling whole as me.
Enjoying your own
You know?
I feel like
company.
that is peak happiness when you
Yeah.
can like not talk to anyone. Where I think most people would consider it like, oh, I'm lonely or oh, I feel alone. It's like, no, I'm enjoying myself so much.
Yeah, like a bowl of pasta and a glass of red wine on a Friday.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Is this a bad day or what? My favorite night out is a night in now.
Yes.
I like that.
So it sounds like you were almost perfectly trained
Mm,
to go on this experiment of that is Love is Blind.
yeah, for sure.
Going into it, once you had decided to do it and you got like the green light and they had casted you, what conversations did you have with yourself about your approach? How would you were going to go about finding love? And then I guess, how nervous were you about whether, like, not to use the show's slogan, that love is actually blind? Having seen the show and the pressure that the show can put on its castmates and just it's kind of, that just comes with it. I don't know if I could do it. Like, I don't know if love is blind for me.
Yeah.
And I recognize there's so many other aspects to love and relationships outside of physical attraction, but I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. I guess for you, going into that, experiment, what did you prepare yourself for? What conversations did you have?
So, like for me, I've never been a reality TV kind of girl. I've always been more of like a series kind of person. So I was a skeptic from day one, which I think they welcomed because you don't have to believe in it fully. You just have to be open to it. So I was open to the idea of it, but I didn't know if that person really came out and wasn't someone I was attracted to,
Yeah.
how that would really make me feel. I've always been a soul searcher. I've always been someone that tried to look at people's heart because I feel like even with me, people in dating, they always view me for my outer appearance. I'm like, do you know who I am? I'm so much more than that. You don't even know.
Yeah.
You're missing out so bad
Yeah.
on just like the other qualities that I have. So
Totally.
I really wanted to find that in a guy because dating, I've always gone for looks, and those relationships clearly haven't worked. So although I was a skeptic, I was open to it. And I just knew that in order for me to really fall for someone that came through those doors and they weren't my type, that connection would have to translate into the in-person. It would have to be something about their aura, their energy that would really make me still feel that love that I felt across the wall. And the connection was so heavy. So I reached a point when Tyler and I were dating, behind the wall, that I was just like, I don't care like what he looks like. I swear I don't. Like, it's like I could break this wall down right now and just like, So when we finally seen each other, I was like, phew, okay, this is great.
That's hot.
Like, oh yeah, like, I'm like, looks don't hurt,
Yeah.
Let's be real, it doesn't. But I don't think that it would have been a determining factor if he wasn't my, ideal type.
Okay.
If it was too far off, it would have been different. It would have been a struggle. I think my mom and my friends would have been like, yeah. But again, attraction, like, you ever see like a guy that's like not that cute and everyone wonders why you think he's cute because it's something?
Yes.
It would have to be that.
Yeah.
And so the conversations that I had, like before I went, or just even while I was in there, is just show up as who you are, and what's meant to find you will. And
Did you have any connections with anyone else prior to really landing on Tyler?
I did. I've had, and by connections, I'll say I've had great conversations when I was in there. I would say, okay, Tim.
Mm.
Tim was my second.
Oh, Tim. Okay.
That would have never worked.
Very
Yeah.
serious
just
man.
very serious. And in there, he wasn't, though. In the pods, he wasn't. He was more kind of like fun. And we're like all having fun behind the wall, drinking and playing games. It was cool. And then I just think for me, being such a progressive kind of woman and like I want to work and I want to do these things, I think he has a very Southern mentality about certain things. And so I began to shy away from that. But I thought he was a cool person for sure. But they're just conversations and not connections.
It's interesting thinking about the psychology of that atmosphere and having never done it, but like hearing you speak about what your life was like leading up to it. You had this year of kind of enlightenment, abstaining from sex, very centered around getting to know yourself, a very deliberate year. And it sounds like you really got out of that experience what you hoped, and it sounds like you felt like you could truly be yourself. And it's interesting to hear you speak on Tim, how, the person you got to know outside of the pods is not who he represented inside the pods. And I'm curious, I would be willing to bet there's probably a fairly even mix from not just Tim or yourself, but there's a lot, I think, is that true? There's a lot of people who you got to know and you're like, yep, that's who I got to know, or even some of the ladies you got to know, versus other people where it's just like, wait, what? And I can't help but wonder, it seems like that type of environment would be very good at allowing people to kind of not be themselves in a way, to kind of like play a character in this very weird world if they weren't truly comfortable with who they were. Like it seemed like you were, especially given the year leading up. Am I making sense?
Yeah,
Or
that
like,
makes sense. I think another part of it is when we're in there, we don't have any outside influence. So we have, no phones, no mom, no best friend. And so you're able to be, maybe a different version of yourself.
It almost seems like you have a lot of people go there claiming to want to find love, but in reality, what they're doing is going there to find themselves. And you had spent the year prior to that finding yourself so that you were actually ready to find love. And maybe Tim was just there to find himself.
Yeah. And I mean, I hope if that's what he got out of that, experiment, then that's, good for him. I think there are a lot of people like that, that went there not only just to find themselves, but just to, I guess, see if this was something they were able to do. And I think that once real life hit and we're all like in each other's presence again, you see the physical, you see people become their past selves before they enter the pods. And that can cause a disconnect from the person that you met.
Yeah.
In there, because it's like, wait, now we're shifting. And that goes for both parties, whoever, I think the ones that work are the ones who stay consistent.
What were your past relationships like prior to coming on the show?
So I dated an athlete. Boo. Sorry, don't want to judge all of you. Yeah, I was.
Was he a kicker? I'm just kidding.
Nikki D.
Yeah, like a real athlete. Sorry, Nick D. And so I knew him since I was 13. We dated since I was 19, almost a decade. And then from there, I thought that was leading to the altar. And, there was some infidelity there, of course. Boo, like,
athlete.
come up with a new
Shtick.
it's old.
Routine.
Yeah. So after that, though, it took that one time for me to realize, too, that, like, I not only deserve better than this, I started to see other things, too, that it's like, oh, this isn't my person. Damn. Like, did I waste all of this time? So I think I got comfortable and didn't want to move on for a while. And then I was like, no, this isn't a choice. Like, this is what you have to do this. So from there, I just casually dated for 4 years. Like, I never found, I'm very, very, very picky. I don't even choose dinner easily. Like, I know that
Sound like
about
my wife.
myself. I am an overthinker as well, which people deem as a bad thing, but it can be a great thing. And so, my dating, besides that, when I was in long-term relationships, like, with him, and then whenever we would break up, again, it'd be flings, but nothing more. So this is my next really big one since that.
Well, I guess going from all of that, how did it feel to have someone like Tyler express his love to you the way that he did? I mean, I feel like one of his lines that America fell in love with was like, I will protect you. I will make you feel safe. You make me feel safe. Like, I love the fuck out of you. Like, just the way he expressed that to you. How did that make you feel?
It was an overwhelming feeling, honestly, because it's funny. I know a lot of the times in there I say, because it's like, that's what I usually, I heard it all before kind of thing. Like, will you really be this person? And it was refreshing also to hear, because I believed him when he said it. It didn't seem like BS. And it was something I always wanted someone to make me feel. And I didn't feel like an option with him. I felt like the only option, like the only choice, like, and that was a gratifying feeling, especially because I am like one of the most loyal people you'll ever find in your life. Like, for my friendships, I've had friendships for 25 years. So I liked that the person I ended up falling for wasn't the same that I have dated in that aspect, and crying and stuff. Like, I was like, what? Like, and the thing is, I cry so much in like the pods. My friends are like texting me like, that's the most I've seen you cry since I've ever seen, like, since I've known you.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not a big crier. I'll cry over like movies or like someone else's
Yeah,
life,
yeah.
you know, but not about my own. I'm more like a let's focus kind of person. So he brought that side out of me, and it was a very vulnerable state for me to be in and very scary at the same time, especially when you've been hurt before. So it's a risk.
Did you know the most conventional cleaning products are filled with harmful chemicals that can negatively impact your family's health? From toxic fragrances to harsh disinfectants, these products can irritate skin, disrupt hormones, and even pollute their air inside your home without you realizing it. Plus, pollutants from these harmful cleaning products linger, leading to respiratory issues, headaches, and even long-term health risks. But here's the good news. Brands Basics believes your health should never be compromised by the products you use to clean your home. That's why they are on a mission to educate families about these hidden dangers and provide a better, safer alternative. The Branch Basic Starter Kit is a powerful plant and mineral-based solution designed to clean every room in your home from top to bottom without harmful chemicals. With just one concentrate, you can tackle everything from laundry to kitchen counters to bathroom grime. It's safe for babies, pets, and anyone with sensitive skin. And best of all, it keeps the air in your home free from harmful toxins. Switching to non-toxic cleaning isn't just a smart choice for the holidays. It's an investment in your family's long-term health. With Branch Basics, it's easy to take the first step toward a cleaner, safer home for you and your loved ones. Made from plant and mineral-based ingredients, Branch Basics is biodegradable and human-safe, making it ideal for families, especially those with pets and children. And their refill model makes it even easier to keep your home clean year-round. Once you run out, all you need to restock is the concentrate and oxygen boost. Plus, the kits make for the perfect holiday gift, helping your loved ones create a clean, healthy home this season. One concentrate equals 13 refills. Get yourself and your loved ones the best gift of all, the gift of clean with Branch Basics. For a limited time only, our listeners get 15% off and free shipping on their premium starter pack when you use code VIALL at branchbasics.com/VIALL. That's 15% off your order at branchbasics.com/VIALL with promo code VIALL. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Get Branch Basics this holiday season because cleanliness matters. ZipRecruiter is the hiring site employers prefer the most based on G2. While there are many different types of offices out there, one thing's for certain: choosing the right candidate for any office is a huge responsibility. Well, if you are hiring and want to find the best candidates for your office, you need ZipRecruiter. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/VIALL. How fast does ZipRecruiter's smart technology start showing you jobs to qualified candidates? Immediately. ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology works fast to find top talent, so you don't waste time or money. You can invite top candidates for your job to apply, to encourage them to apply sooner. Remember, if you want to find the right candidates for your office, you need ZipRecruiter. See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Just go to this exclusive website right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter.com/VIALL. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/VIALL. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. The holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts that spark joy, wonder, delight. They scour the globe for original, handmade, absolutely remarkable things. Somehow, they know exactly the perfect gift for every single person you know. Best part is, when you shop at Common Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. Many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches, so shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out-of-the-ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. If you're struggling to find for that person who just kind of has everything they have or need, you got to check out Uncommon Goods to get something unique for them. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/VIALL. That's uncommongoods.com/VIALL for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods. We are all out of the ordinary. Should we just get to the...
I mean, I feel like we can bounce around, of course, but
I'm trying to in my head because, well, let's get to the...
It kind of did come out of nowhere on the show.
Yeah.
The bomb of him having children.
Yeah.
There she is.
Well, we're watching it, and then all of a sudden there's a serious tone,
Uh-huh.
and it's you and Tyler, and you're very distraught, and he's apologizing, and you're kind of speaking in this like, I can't believe you didn't tell me type of energy. And I don't know if it was a coincidence or not, but right before it seemed like those episodes dropped, there was chatter online about Tyler allegedly having children. We're like, holy shit, what's going on? How did he not bring this up in the pods? You know, especially all the conversation that you and Tyler had about kids. I think right after that, we had seen a conversation with your father and Tyler and you all about having kids. It was just like, this is not something you just leave out. So let's maybe start there in terms of, can you bring us into the room where I think a lot of people were wishing, why wasn't this caught on camera? How did this even get brought up? And I guess, how did the conversation go from there in terms of what you found out about Tyler's past? And then can you start shedding some light on what the truth is? Because there seems to be a lot of speculation and accusations and rumors that are flying all over the internet about the man that you married. And if you could set the record straight, that would be super helpful.
Yeah. So the reason it seems awkward in that scene when everyone's like, what is happening? She's in this beanie and she's like sitting here, you know, very serious. And I've been so giddy the entire time, right? So the night before, ironically, me, Tyler, and Nick D went out to like a bar down the street from the complex we all were staying in for like the reality part of it. And we had like a few drinks, and then we came back, and then he was like sitting on the couch and his tone was kind of weird. And I just was like, okay. Like, I drink red wine too, so I'm like kind of sleepy. And he's like, I need to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, about what? And so I sit down. He's like, sit down. Oh, no, he said sit down. I'm like, when someone says that,
Ooh,
it
anxiety.
immediately makes me anxious.
Oh, yeah, please don't get mad. I need to tell you something.
Yeah. And so I'm like, and this is worse when they text you it. And you're like, just say
we
it.
need to talk.
We need to talk in 10 hours.
Yeah. So,
but not right now.
Yeah.
Later.
Later.
It's like, just pause and don't say it, you know? So I sit down and I'm like, what? And so he's just like sitting there staring in the weirdest way. And I go, please tell me you don't have an STD. Like,
oh my.
You know, because that would be, I'm sorry, not against anyone who does, but like, that's something I should know
First,
again prior
Yeah.
to getting married and being sexually active, right?
It's also something that if you did find out would be difficult potentially to deal with.
Yeah,
and it's something you would have to learn to accept.
100%.
So there's no.
Yeah. And so he's like, no. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, what, you got some kids or something?
Oh,
Like
you
that.
guessed
No.
And he
it?
doesn't laugh.
No.
He doesn't laugh. And my heart sank to the ground. I feel like I'm put back there right now as I'm telling you the story. And I'm like, what do you mean? And so he begins to deep dive into the conversation a little, not fully. I won't say deep dive. He begins to allude to the fact that he was a sperm donor for, you know, a lesbian couple who was married. And, you know, he was afraid to tell me because he didn't want to lose me. And I was like, that's robbery. You robbed me of my choice, because in the pods, like, all factors are at play, you know, and I was so caught off guard. We talked from like 11 until 4 a.m. about the situation, but I didn't really ask the questions I really wanted to in that moment because of shock and because I was just trying to get around the fact of how we had all of these kids' conversations and this is happening to me. And I also was kind of like, oh no, you know? And
Do
so
you remember, like, when you asked him, like, what do you have kids? And he just stood there. What were the first words out of his mouth in terms of, well, how did he actually describe his situation?
he was like, well, yes. And I was like, how many? And he was like, 3. And he said, I was a sperm donor for, you know, a lesbian couple. And at that conversation, we didn't deep dive into like, to what capacity, right? And so I, again, wasn't asking the right questions in that moment. I mainly was just trying to figure out how he lied. Like, omission is a lie. Let's be clear about that. And I remember just being hurt by all of it because I just didn't know. Because even if it was just a mere sperm donor situation at the time, that's still something I should have known, right? So from there, you know, he was saying he doesn't want to talk about it on camera, or, you know, he doesn't want to hurt that family or like have people searching for them. Like, these kids have to go to school, like whatever. So I'm like, there's no way I can continue in this experiment if we don't talk about this in some capacity, because I've been giddy the entire time and my energy is this low right now. The viewers are going to see it. When you meet my friends, they're going to see it. They know me. We have to talk about it in some capacity. So the next day I leave, I get my stuff, I move back home to my own apartment. They are like, you know, come back and just have the conversation to whatever way you guys feel comfortable on camera.
did you like reach out to production
Yes.
and be like, hey, just so you know, this happened?
Tyler did.
Tyler did. Okay.
Yeah, he reached out to our producer.
Did they have any clue at all, or did he? Like, what do you know about?
They didn't say if they did or didn't.
Gotcha.
They didn't say if they did or didn't.
Makes
He
sense.
more so was like, this is what I told her and this is what's happening. And she's like leaving me, is what to his knowledge. And so we come back and we have a second conversation about it, kind of like on camera.
Right.
And we hit the first one to where I'm shocked. And everyone's like, oh, she's so calm. She's so gracious. I'm like, yeah, because the night before was a little different, right? And
Like,
now I have time to.
How angry were you? Like,
I was pissed. I was
Rightfully
pissed
so.
because everyone, like, honestly, there's another guy, which sounds so shallow of me, but there's another guy in the pods that had a kid, and I knew that wasn't what I wanted for my life, so I didn't even consider him.
Right.
Granted, I didn't have a connection with him, but I didn't. Even if I did, I don't know if I would have done it.
yeah, and his answer, at least at the beginning, I assume you'd agree, was a bit of a cop out
Mhm.
to like say, well, I don't want to talk about this on camera because I don't want people searching for them. It's just like, why didn't you think about that before you showed up?
Yeah,
Kind of thing.
and it's like, well, even if we don't mention it on camera, they're gonna find it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
There's 3 of them. You can't hide. Like, you cannot hide. They're gonna find it. So, yep.
I was about to say, I just remember I think it was the reveal when he was like, people are going to start coming out of the woodworks and saying stuff about us. Did that?
So ironically, that's funny because people are like, you know, he tried to warn her. He tried to warn her. You know, he alluded to that. That was my question, actually. I asked him, if I were to sit down with your ex right now, or flings or people you
Sure.
dated, what would they say about you? Because for 2 reasons. One,
Good question.
I want to see if I can see remnants of that behavior
Mhm.
and begin to look for it. Not that I'm searching for it, but just to begin to pay attention. And 2, I want to see how you're going to answer, because it's a red flag when men blame everything on a woman.
Yeah. Well, she was
So,
crazy.
So for me, it was refreshing for him to say, like, yeah, they probably would say I wasn't the best. And he's been vocal about that. Like, I wasn't the best dating at all, you know? And so
I
for
mean,
me, that
yeah.
wasn't a red flag.
It's a great question. And any healthy person who has a past who gets asked that question should be able to point out a couple of annoying things they do that
Mhm.
every ex they've ever had has brought up.
100%.
You know, and it's more of a like, hey, these are my annoying habits.
Mhm.
They aren't necessarily things that you need to. I mean, you could be insecure about them because they're probably bad habits that you haven't figured out yet. But they're not. They shouldn't be like non-negotiables that like people leave you for. But that's a great question to see how self-aware someone is and how much they've learned about who they were in relationships. And if they don't have an answer, even if they're not even talking shit,
Yeah.
that's a red flag.
Yeah, like 100%. Like, I feel like in past relationships, I've been top tier, but on reflection, I know there are things that I did that didn't help, right? And so if you can't even say that, like, if
Mhm.
you can't even say, like, yeah, it takes 2 to tango,
Right.
then
Mhm.
that's a problem. So whereas other people seen it as a red flag, I seen it as a green flag
Mhm.
in that moment. And
Well, that does give context,
Mhm.
because I'm glad to know that you were the one, because it came very random of him being like, just so you know, people are going to start coming out
Yeah.
the woodwork saying crazy shit about me. And it was like, whoa, what's
Yeah,
going
your
on here?
question
So
wasn't in there.
I'm glad
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And so then, like, fast forward, we have that minor, you know, conversation to where I'm like truly hurt and just want to give the viewers a little glimpse at what I know to some capacity. And then they show us again, like, when it's dark and we're having another conversation. And I ask him, do they know what you look like? And he says, oh, like, I don't think so.
Not that I
He
know of.
pauses, looks to
And
his
looks to
left,
the-
and goes,
Tell. That's a tell. You know,
Mhm.
people have tells. It's a
I
tell.
don't-
Immediately, I knew.
Yeah.
Immediately.
I don't
When he-
think so.
I don't think so. I don't think.
Immediately. What the hell does think mean?
Yeah.
Right? So immediately from there, when he says that, I knew. So that evening we had another conversation, and that's the conversation that I learned it all.
So at this point, are you trying to juggle between what you need and want to know while simultaneously trying to respect his privacy?
Yeah, and even my mom was just like, this is a very sticky situation, Ashley. So how you guys approach it needs to be, you know, right? Because she's like, they will taunt these kids in this family if they want
Mhm.
more, you know, more information. And I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, if it does come out and I don't talk about it, they'll think I'm shocked, which they end up thinking, I don't know, like, why they think I wouldn't know this. But regardless, I felt it had to be said in a way.
Yeah.
So it was hard for me to navigate. I'm just so used to being very transparent that it was hard for me to navigate that conversation too, to try to make sure I didn't divulge anything. Like he said, there are 3 of them as a lesbian couple, like, whatever. Offline, he shows me pictures. That was more questions for me.
Mhm.
And as I began to talk to him, his friends, his mom, and his family is when I began to get a fuller picture of what was actually going on. And that's when I found out that, the ex-wife had left and Tyler stepped in, which the ex-wife's name is on the son's birth certificate. I've never seen the twins' birth certificate. And when the ex-wife left, she was pregnant with the twins. And Tyler grew up without a father. His father's like dying of bone cancer. He wasn't even invited to our wedding. And Tyler's like, when I gave my sperm, I gave it to a family, not for you to be a single mom. And that's when he jumped in. And for me, I guess the reason that it was easier for me to understand once talking to friends and him and, going deeper is my godbrother's gay. He was in my wedding. He was a bridesman. And, at one point when I didn't know how my life was going, we laughed and joked about it. I could never do that. I could never donate my eggs to a close person because if it comes out looking like me or something, I couldn't be around.
Right.
Whereas Tyler did. He was around for holidays. And for me, that's how my godbrother is. He's at every holiday, everything with me. So he was around, he let them call it. They knew him as their bio dad. And it's very taboo and very odd to think about, but I don't think there's any rule book to how adoption, sperm donating, or egg donation should go. I do think that it was a mistake on his behalf to blur those lines so heavily because of the kids. Not even just the woman, but the kids. And I know she wanted him to mainly be a part for the boy. Mainly, not even the girl. You very rarely see him with the girls here and there. It's mainly the boy. And Tyler stepped up and he was like, sure, I'll be their dad. He's like picking up from daycare sometimes. Like they're friends. They lived in the same building.
Yeah.
They lived in the same building on top of that.
When you tell this story, I mean, the only thing that I think is probably surprised or hard for people to grasp, even me, it's just more like, kind of like, what a beautiful story. And as opposed to like being afraid to share it, why not be proud
Because
of what he stepped up and what he's doing, especially like Love is Blind. What a great story. Like, I mean, you would think that, even producers would love that about him if they knew about it. But yeah, why was he so insecure about that getting out?
So 100%. And for me, like when I specifically seen the boy, it like kind of broke my heart a little bit because he looks a lot like him. And I just like loved him immediately through a picture because I love Tyler so much. So it was very awkward for me to navigate as well. But this is the reason why. It came a point where Tyler, so a lot of the pictures, they're younger, like whatever. He was never, ever around on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. There were times he wouldn't see them at all. Like he lived in Arlington. They've never been to his apartment, like things like that. He tried to back and like back off at certain points. And I know that she wanted him present and he was trying to navigate like how to be there for them and also be her friend as well. And like they were in the army together. Like I said, like this is not just a stranger. And so I think it's hard for people to digest too, because in a normal sperm donor situation, I mean, you can pick and choose your involvement, but most of the time you aren't that involved unless it is like a sister or like a friend or whomever. Right. So he came to a point where whenever she would be in a new relationship, with a new woman, she wants to have a family with a woman. Yeah. And he would always be on the outside looking in. He has no rights. He can't say where they go to school. He can't say anything. He can't discipline. He can't do anything. So to him, he's like, I pop up and I'm an uncle and I play with them and I kiki. I wear these dad t-shirts that her mom is giving me, and put on this, face, but this is not my family. I'm on the outside looking in. And originally I did this to help someone else. Yeah. And then I put myself in this very uncomfortable situation. And that's why I tell people, I think he was a good guy that got too deep and didn't know what to do next. So when he finally decided to cut the situation off, of course, it's awkward and it hurts him as well to know about the kids, but he felt like it was better to do it now than to wait any longer. And he's like, I want my own family. Like, I want my own things. Whereas she's probably like, well, damn, like you were around, why do this now? They just have two different perspectives, I would say. And I think that even Tyler's friends and parents, and again, it's kind of a little difficult for me to talk about this because I wasn't there. Right. I'm only going off of the things that I know and the things I'm trusting. And if anything ever comes out differently, I'll do like a Risa Tisa and give you guys a scoop. But I'm just going.
Tyler.
I'm just yeah.
Watch yourself.
And so they basically said the same thing. Like, yeah, he was around. He let him calm down, but like they were young, like whatever. And he just didn't feel like that was his family. And again, it looks bad, but it's if you realize it's always holidays, it's always an event, it's always something. Like he's around on the floor playing with them. It's never like an intimate moment with these kids. It is. He was always supposed to be an uncle, and even the ex-wife said it. And then this is the thing about like, oh, he was sleeping with her. It's like, what are you trying? Like, what is going on?
Right.
There's so many
Yeah.
false narratives.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense, the context you provided. I mean, just thinking about it as a new dad, I couldn't imagine what it'd be like. Here he is, he probably made a decision again out of the goodness of his heart. Maybe didn't even think it through. I don't think any guy who gives away their sperm, they're probably not even thinking about
It turning from
what's
a baby
going.
No.
Yeah,
to
like
a
what's
Men
going to
don't
happen.
like women in that way either.
Yeah,
no
I think
offense.
like I remember when I was in college, like I never did, but I remember being like, I need a few bucks, let's do that. And then I remember being, wait, like, but if I did that, like, but I, you kind of get close to
Mhm.
thinking, what's the big deal?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden he becomes this father. This situation happens. He's asked to be a part of it, but he, like you said, he has no rights.
No rights.
No rights to really put his input in. So what a weird situation to try to even navigate. I can imagine the challenge of like, what is my role here?
I will say she wrote me on Instagram and apologized to me and Tyler and said she's praying for us and she never meant for it to go this way. And
Is
she
this
won't
the-
say
But
too much on this forum.
Didn't
Is
she
this
make
the
a
same
public
person?
statement?
Yeah.
She made a public statement and then deleted everything.
It was at the public statement that was like saying how she doesn't know why Tyler is
And then
talking
posted
about
a bunch of photos of him with the kids.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's that one. Yep. But she also wrote me and apologized and said that like it's completely understandable if I never want to respond. And she's sure my world is crazy right now. She never intentionally meant to cause me any pain. Like she won't say too much in this message, but yeah. And so I'm like, well, you're kind of causing it too because you came out there and did that. But I did welcome the message. I told her I'm surprised, but I welcome this.
Yeah.
Because regardless if we never talk to you or the kids again, like it's still a thing. And so I wouldn't mind having a sit down with you. Like, I want to know what the motive is here. Like, even his mom, like, when I talked to her, she's like, it is exactly what he's saying. And it used to be so uncomfortable for her,
Yeah.
because she posts all her grandkids. And so it's like, what do I do? She's seen them maybe twice.
Wow.
They don't know her in the way that people are trying. She's reposting pictures and things like that. I think that, again, if you have met Tyler for 5 minutes, this is the thing that really gets me is the assassination of his character. And I'm not here to defend him. I have to say this. If you meet him for 5 minutes, you will see how genuine he is. He's a people pleaser, and I hate that about him.
Mm-hmm.
And we had him on Zoom,
really
and I
is.
could tell
He really
through the
is.
Zoom.
It's not a good trait to me because you will sacrifice yourself for other people, and that's why he's hurt and shocked by what the mom is doing.
Right.
Did he have any conversations with her post filming?
No, so when he decided to cut ties, she was upset.
So before he went in and filmed Love Is Blind, he had cut ties
Mhm.
with her.
100%.
I didn't realize that.
100%. And he had a conversation with her. I don't know the exact time frame, let's say a year or two before, when he started slowing down and, coming around, and basically said something along the lines of, I just don't have a connection with these kids. And she's hurt because she's like, well, why? Why don't you? Because they're still kind of your kids. Like, why don't you have a connection? He's like, this is your family and this is what I originally signed up for. I know I stepped in to try to help. I know I said I'd be there for the twins. You were by yourself, and twins made it worse,
Mhm.
And so biologically, these are still his kids. So he feels a certain way. But he's like, I can't do this. And she's like, why? She was disappointed. And I can see, why she was disappointed as well. But he's like, I just don't want to have any connection with you or them because if I talk to you, although you've been my long-term friend, there's no way I wouldn't be able to not talk to the kids. And I think it's best if I remove myself.
Did she
So-
only want him involved once her ex-wife left?
I think he was involved around, like even the ex-wife kind of said, like he was around, but kind of in like an uncle capacity. And I don't think that, she wanted him around as much. Like
Okay.
even when she got divorced, she tried to fight for custody. And that's when Tyler went for the sperm donor mom's side and basically was like against her to make sure that that woman could keep all of her kids and that the ex-wife couldn't take the kids. I think she wanted him in a bigger capacity once she left. I'll say that. It's not that he wasn't around before that. He was.
Okay.
But she wanted him around in a bigger capacity because now she's by herself, which
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
And now she's engaged and with a whole nother woman.
So it's time.
So there's that.
So
They scrubbed that Instagram too. So they're not the only ones scrubbing.
So
Yeah.
right now, I mean, before we got into his ex, well, not even his ex, his ex-friend, I can now understand why Tyler did what he did, how you responded, and even why the show, the way it's aired, didn't do you guys any favors because it looks like he is not being forthcoming. Like we're still watching it now, kind of like, what is the truth?
Yeah.
You know, on that aspect, I could appreciate why even her is also confused by how it's aired. But what I am confused about is that it seems like you guys have had some interactions and she knows. Does she know why? If she got the heads up in terms of like what she might expect, once you guys talked about it, how much did Tyler anticipate this being a topic that's aired?
So a topic that's aired on the show?
Yeah. Because
he
once it
knew
was
what-
aired, you would think that she would respond to it.
So ironically, we knew it would be mentioned, but
Yeah.
I always knew this would be a big thing once it aired. Even if he was just a regular sperm donor, like I knew, and it wasn't like blurred lines, I knew it would be a big thing because humanity has trouble comprehending and understanding anything taboo or out of their norm.
Yep.
So I was the one saying, she's coming. I guarantee you when he was like, she would never do that. She would never do that. So there was no conversation with her or anything. Like because I was like, maybe reach out. I know that y'all aren't in the best terms, and maybe reach out and just say, hey, this is coming out. So like we couldn't even do that.
Who do you think put it out for the world to see? Because it came from
The grandma.
somewhere. You think it was?
No, it did. She
Oh,
came
you
up
know.
with the whole TikTok of all the pictures of Tyler. And I, again, am repeating what I know. The grandma is like, you'll never see pictures of, I'll say it this way, you'll never see pictures of her daughter with her wife or with her LGBTQIA partner, ever. So that's where the dad t-shirts and dad's son come at play. And this is what I've seen firsthand, and this is what I've heard from people who know both parties.
Right.
Because they were in Army, so they have mutual Army friends. She never liked that about.
She didn't accept that about her daughter. It doesn't seem like.
So now there are videos like, that's your dad. You know who that is? You know who you're playing with? That's your dad. Right?
So grandma's projecting.
And
a narrative that she
I
wants
genuinely
to
feel
believe.
like, and if Bri ever sees this, like, I think that that's why the sperm donor mom reached out to me and apologized, because I think she's in an uncomfortable situation of feeling like people are adding pressure on her to be this person that I don't think she is.
Right.
If Tyler's a bad guy, why would you want to do it again? You know, why? That'd be a mistake. It's like you sleep with the guy once and it's a mistake. You don't, I mean, maybe sometimes you go back,
Sometimes you
but
do,
But a kid is a
you
whole
try
different
not
thing.
to.
Yeah.
You try not to make that same mistake.
What else is she saying about him?
Who? The sperm donor mom?
Yeah, sperm donor mom. Yeah, what's.
Sperm donor mom.
I don't know.
Sperm
It was just
donor
that
mom.
one thing, and then she reached out and she apologized. And Tyler was honestly, that was the hardest part, is just seeing Tyler struggle during a time that should have been just about our love story. So I think once she apologized, she kind of felt bad, and like she seemed that, you know, and I said, like, yes, getting beat up on social media is never fun, is what I told her.
So they've both apologized, the grandma and
No,
Bri?
no, just her. She apologized to me only, not even Tyler.
Grandma's not apologizing.
No, grandma's not going to
No.
apologize.
Is grandma still posting?
No, she apparently made her page private, and Tyler, because Tyler had a really, really bad day, and it was a really, really hard time. And I know that Tyler reached out to Brian that second from the dog's page, because he's blocked.
Wait, who's this again?
Our dog's page.
dog's
So
page.
our dog Kobe has a Instagram page.
Okay.
Tyler reached out to the sperm donor mom on the dog page and basically was like, "Look, like, what are you doing? Like, stop this." And I guess she was concerned with like him being attacked, you know. And then she deleted everything, which was appreciative, but at the same time, everyone already has it.
It's already out there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's social media. Like, it's 5 seconds, and you know.
Grandma intentionally did exactly what Tyler was trying to prevent from happening, which is like, you're exposing your kids, you're exposing your daughter, you're making this entire thing about yourself, and you're not gonna have to deal with any of the repercussions of it.
Nope, none, and it's cloudy. The thing about Tyler too that he kept saying that I kind of was like, okay, actually show a little sympathy, even though I was pissed, is like, he's like, I've done enough. Like, I've already, like, eventually the kids will probably forget me, but like, I don't want to do anything else to this family.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want to really talk about this, Ashley, but I will, because I want you. But like, and I don't want you to quit this experiment. But at the same time, I don't want to go in too deep. So that's why I also kind of am sitting there and contemplating and thinking as I'm talking in those scenes that you see, because I don't know what I'm allowed to say. And the very thing that we tried to avoid happened. I mean,
Right.
the kid's birth certificate is online. It's
Right.
sick. So the very people who are creating TikToks with their false journalism. TikTok, I just got a TikTok for the first time, and I wish I never had it.
No, it's people
It's
who
a whole new world.
people spread rumors and they're like, it's called journalism.
It's
And-
law, right? It's law now because someone sent you a screenshot with the contact name Tyler. I can do that right now. I could say, tell my god
And it's
sister,
Kobe.
text me, right? Text me some stuff right now so I can make it look like, and put their contact name in it. Show me the number, blur it out, right?
Mhm.
So that's that. And people take the TikTok journalism and run with it. Now people are writing me like, girl, have you seen? And who do you think has a better view on what the hell is going on? You or me?
Ooh.
This is a year later.
Yeah.
And frankly, no matter what he came with, when I said I do to all of it.
Right.
That's what marriage is. And we're in a generation where unconditional love is not a thing. And there are conditions with people. And to me, they haven't found their person and it shows.
Yeah.
Truly, I'm
I
happy.
get it.
I think people want to paint him to be this stereotypical man who's like a piece of shit.
Mhm.
And it's like, sorry, that's just not who he is today.
And she knows it.
And
They know it.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
a lot of the people who watch the show aren't watching from a lens of rooting for love.
Absolutely not.
They're watching through the lens of every fucking person's like my ex,
Yep.
and they're all pieces of shit, whoever these people are. And so, yes, it's a little bit of that.
Even when they loved us, remember that moment? when
Way
they
back
loved
when.
us. Like, we still have like 50% that love us, but like, when they loved us and they were like, oh, Ashley and Tyler for like OG 90s love and early 2000s, I'm kicking my feet on the wall, like, all of that, they still were like, something's wrong with them. We're going to find it.
Well,
It's too good to be true, you know?
And that, I mean, I'm a little bit like that. I mean, the too good to be true stuff, the praying every night, when I see stuff like that, I'm like,
And also, that was me. Tyler is the kind of person, I also want to say that I am the one, not that Tyler doesn't have his own faith, but I am the one
you
with,
led that.
I led it. And we talked about it in the pause. It wasn't shown, but like about how important my faith is with me. He was like, he doesn't know, how to pray sometimes. And I was like, there's no right way to pray. You just have to start. And so that's why it looks like we're doing it so much, because I was trying to get him to feel comfortable around me and to be intimate in that way.
That was him doing something that he knew was important to you,
100%.
and then he was taking the initiative as
Which
see,
makes so much more
way more
sense.
Yeah.
context, yeah.
100%.
Because it kind of comes across potentially
Mhm.
as performative. Because
Mm-mm.
you
Right.
never really know early on. When you see something early on that may be too good to be true, we just wonder if it is.
Yeah, one of his friends, Oliver, after the wedding, came up to me and said something along the lines of, I wanted to say thank you. This was a beautiful wedding, beautiful reception. He was like, I just wanted to say also thank you for helping lead Tyler, back to God. And like, that was always important to me as a friend. He was in the Army as well. And he was like, me and Tyler would have conversations about that. But he, I don't know if he was comfortable enough
As
speaking the way
receptive?
he does now. And so I was like, oh, that was a compliment to me. And I love that he said that. So yeah.
With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and the first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. Say bye-bye to the overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with your existing contacts. Ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/VIALL. That's mintmobile.com/VIALL. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/VIALL. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Winter is right around the corner, which means cooling weather and more time on the go. Vionic has the best essential styles for everyday wear to get you ready for the season. Slippers, flats, boots, sneakers, and more. Listen, if you are someone who just needs a little extra support in the shoes that they are wearing because, you're walking around all day, you feel like tiredness in your feet, you got to check out Vionic's exclusive VioMotion technology, which sets them apart. They are the king and making sure your feet are staying incredibly supported, and comfortable, and make your feet feel good. You got to protect the feet, people, because that's what you're standing on all day. I mean, if we're being real, they are experts in comfort for your feet. Today, they continue to use that science to engineer shoes that leave you feeling energized and confident all day. They even offer a 30-day guarantee. Wear them, love them, or return them for a full refund within 30 days. For the ladies out there, check out the Uptown Loafer. They have loads of different shades and colors to choose from, premium fabrics like suede or leather. For the men out there, get their unwind slippers, slip into their classic slipper. It's super cozy, it's really comfortable, and your feet will thank you for it, I promise. Use new code VIALL at checkout for 15% off your entire order at www.vionicshoes.com. That's VIONICSHOES.com when you log into your account. One-time use only. Vionic Shoes. Wearable. Well-being for your feet. Well, this holiday season, if you're looking for a new place to get some classic apparel, you got to check out True Classic. True Classic makes clothes in a variety of styles that have the great fit and feel. They offer premium products at an affordable price. You can get their best-selling t-shirts, hoodies, jeans, and more in 3, 6, and 9 packs. They make shirts that define your best feature with a perfect fit. They're snug in the arms and chest with just the right amount of room in the midsection. They have fall and winter must-haves like long-sleeve Henleys, waffle hoodies, jeans, button-ups, joggers, and more. For the athletes in your life, they have great activewear pieces that have moisture-wicking, quick-dry, and odor control. They offer 100% perfect fit guarantee and easy returns. That is clutch. We love a company that backs away their clothes fit, and True Classic is certainly doing that. They are trusted by over 4 million customers with 200,000 plus reviews. True Classic's ultra comfortable, perfect fitting essentials make for the perfect gift for the men in your life. The holidays are here, and True Classic's ultra comfortable, perfect fitting essentials make for the perfect gift for you and the men in your life. So if you're ready to upgrade your closet, shop now and unlock big savings during their huge holiday sale. Just go to my exclusive link at trueclassic.com/VIALL to save. That's trueclassic.com/VIALL. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. End the year with holiday cheer thanks to True Classic.
I want to jump a little bit to your relationship with your father.
I'm so happy to talk about this.
You kind of open up on wedding day when you're talking to your grandma and you're talking to your mom and you're saying, like, I took certain things from your relationships, and then there's certain things that I was like, I absolutely don't want this for my relationship. What was your relationship like with your dad growing up? Was he around?
So my father was married to my mom from age 1, like baby, until 10. They got divorced when I was 10.
Okay.
And my father, as he's gone viral for his suaveness, yes, he has. It's all hey daddy Usher song is going viral with it, and it makes me want to throw up.
Yes.
So I can see it. He's a charming guy.
Yeah, definitely charming. He was a woman, type of guy. Yeah. So ironically, in 2021, I found out I had 2 brothers that I didn't know about that he had during the time period that he was married to my mom. And we already knew about one of them, but we didn't know about these 2. Ironically, one of them went to high school with me.
Oh.
The same one that went to high school with me lived in my neighborhood, and his brother was one of my really good friends. So he wrote me on Instagram in 2021 and was telling me, and I was like, this guy's trying to talk to me from high school. And then I open it, and it's a voice note of like, I did my ancestry, and your dad's my dad. And I'm like, I'm so sorry to hear that. I have enough loved ones in my life. I don't need any more. Click, and I felt bad, but I just didn't. I'm 30. Like, I don't need this. So then he wrote me again, and then his brother called me, who I knew from high school, and he was like, you might as well give him a chance because he's never going to stop. And boy, am I glad that I did, because I met them and we hit it off immediately. And I told them one day, like, I think like the second time we hung out, I was like, fuck, I wish you guys weren't cool, because I really didn't want to do this. But we ended up, we're super close now.
Yeah.
Ironically, I've only known them since 2021.
Wow.
So my dad, where everyone's like, oh, your dad, I can't wait till her dad gets on Tyler. My dad don't have no room to talk about anything. So my dad and I's relationship was strained for years and years and years. And it took probably the last 5 years for us to get close. And I'll tell you why. I've learned along my growth journey that you just have to meet people where they're at. Some people will die that way. my grandpa died that way. When you meet people where they're at and you accept people for who they are, you have a better relationship with them because you're not trying to change them into the image that you want them to be.
Right.
And I used to always want the dad on the TVs. Like I used to want that so bad. And then I realized that's just not my story.
Mhm.
And so my dad is the guy who owns yachts and restaurants, and we drink for free, and I bring my friends and we party.
Yeah.
And it sounds
That
like your
was, I
mom's
mean,
Not
awesome.
awful.
My mom's great. My mom's my confidant. My mom's my best friend. My mom is my reason. Like, you know, she is, wow, I get emotional about my mom, but like she is everything to me. And whenever I say like I have a role model, it's my mom. So yeah.
Why is it your mom?
She was just really, really strong. She had my brother at 18 and his dad wanted nothing to do with him. So she raised me and my brother, but like she raised me to be very bougie. And I'm like, how did you do that? Like I can barely like, you know, like take care of myself, but you had me in everything. You never missed a beat. Like, you know, you anything I ever wanted, I had, and I don't know how she did it. She always says the Lord, but I don't know how she did it. And she is like superwoman to me. My brother has like 5 degrees. He has a doctorate. Like we beat the stereotype,
Yeah.
Wow.
right? Of being raised by a single mom. And so that's why I sympathize with Tyler and why he handled that the way as well. Cause I know what that's like. And my mom never let us really see her cry. Like, you know, she always says like I was her motivation. I was really wise at a young age. They call me an old young lady. And my mom, that's why I wanted to make sure at my wedding that she was honored and she was the one to give me away to Tyler because she did the heavy lifting. While my dad and I have a great relationship now and we have fun, she's my person and she is the one who did it all.
That was
Yeah,
a great moment when you walked down the aisle. Your mom was definitely like, I got it
Yeah.
from here.
Thank you so
like-
much. Yeah.
It was pretty
And I
iconic.
felt bad when I was kind of like, my dad's lucky to be here. It's like a bitchy moment, but it also is kind of like for real though.
Yeah.
But for real,
it's
though.
I
honest.
mean, it makes a lot of
You
sense
know?
given the context. I don't even know if you remember because we just watched the wedding. But right before you walked down the aisle, your dad was
Yeah,
riffing a little bit.
About the sun and the moon and
You
the...
seemed
Yeah.
a little annoyed.
I was.
Okay.
I was. Sorry, Dad. I was so confused on what was... I'm like, I'm about to walk out here.
Like, are you performing?
Yeah,
What's
he's
on?
like, he's
The-
talking
the-
about rain
The
and
cameras
clouds
got
and-
to him.
You
Yeah.
know, and then I think he was just overwhelmed by seeing me too. And you
Sure.
know what I really think? I don't think he ever thought he would be there. And so he was overwhelmed by seeing me in that moment and seeing that I was an adult and he probably still views me as a kid.
Your story resonates so much with like the way that I grew up. I had a very absent father who, you know, now it's me who puts in the effort to have him a part of my life. And it's very much like me and my siblings have all agreed he's not the dad role. He
Mm-mm.
doesn't know how to play the dad role.
Mm.
But once you accept that he just doesn't have the dad in him,
Yeah.
then like he's good. He's great.
Yeah.
Like it's when you expect him to not do dad things.
Yeah. Some
Just
people
let go
just
of the
shouldn't be
anger.
some
Yeah.
people shouldn't be parents. That's just what it is. Some people just they don't have that gene. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And that doesn't make him a bad person. He is so good to friends. He is so good to family. He is so personable. You'll like him as soon as you meet him. The production team,
Yeah.
they were like, oh my God, your dad's so great. And he is for who he is. He just isn't a good dad. He's my father, you know?
Yeah,
No, that-
absolutely.
That makes a lot of sense. I really appreciate you adding context to Tyler's situation. I'm sure a lot of people listening are wondering, especially that Tyler kind of cracked that seal, has entered into these kids' lives. They seem still pretty young,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they're like 7 and 5
Okay.
or something.
but time goes fast and they'll be 18 at some point. Have you and Tyler have had conversations about almost kind of similar to finding out you have a brother?
Mm-hmm.
When that day happens, if these children decide that they want to have a relationship with their biological father, have you guys talked about what conversations or what you guys will do about that?
Yeah, so even during filming, I think I say something along the lines of like, I had to figure out when I chose to say, I'll give this another try, you know, with Tyler, I had to also think about what happens if they do come. Right now, they're removed because you removed yourself.
Mhm.
But what happens if they do turn 18 and there's no rules to this and they say, I am going to contact you, you know, or even 16, 15, whatever. They have social media, they have iPads. These kids work on better than us. So I'm like, what does that look like? I could not in good faith say yes to a marriage unless I was okay with that coming. And I asked him what that's like for him. And he's like, he's willing to have that tough conversation with them on why, you know, you were supposed to have 2 moms. That is always what the plan was. And things got blurry and things got too deep. And I'm sorry if you were ever hurt in that process when you were young, he says. And I was like, do you think you're really going to be able to say that to him? And he's very confident in that way because he just doesn't see what he did as a negative thing.
Mhm.
He does see the misfortune and how it went about in the end. He's like, that lady loves them kids. Like, you know, they're taken care of. Like, he doesn't feel like they're in an uncomfortable or, you know, bad home or anything. So for me, I would welcome it. Like, that means I will only have to have one, you know? I don't have to like go through that. But like, that happened before me. He didn't have kids on me. This is all before me. So I have to kind of take his lead on where he wants to go with that. And I don't want to ever put him in an uncomfortable situation because of things that I want. So, or not saying I want that, but I'm just saying, or things I'm okay with or have looked into.
I know you said like one of your biggest fears is giving birth. And as someone who gave birth 8 months ago, it was the most magical, amazing thing
Really?
ever. Yes. And I know a lot of women like to like, it's scary, don't do it, it's awful, it's scary. It's not. It's truly like epidural, of course.
Yeah.
But like, it was magical.
My mom
and
always
it was the
says,
best thing
once you get the kid in your hands, it's all worth it. And I'm like,
Truly.
I don't
You
know.
like black out and you forget everything. But it's like a rush of feelings that you will never experience in any other part of life or doing anything else. It's truly magical.
Wow.
And this was after there were a couple moments of like, I'm never fucking
Yes,
doing
yes,
this
of
again.
course. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was very
She
sick
told
at
me
the
to
beginning,
seriously
and I
look
was
into
like,
surrogacy if I wanted to have
Yeah.
more kids. So.
yeah,
But she,
well, we don't need to talk about that. But yeah, yeah, I did just want to throw that out there. That
Yeah.
it's really not bad.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
skydiving. How was that?
So you know he had to go skydiving after all this. I was like, this is not even a choice.
And I feel like we got this out there, but I want to be very clear to our audience. Prior to you even skydiving or saying yes to him at the altar, you had a very honest conversations. It sounds like your mom was even
Yes.
involved. The show doesn't really show that at all, and it's very unclear how much you know about Tyler's situation. But you knew all of this prior to saying yes.
100%. And at this point, we should have just filmed it.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately.
Because now it feels like it's more damage has been done because of what the internet is spewing than what you could have just said.
Yeah.
And Tyler didn't know what he should or shouldn't say. We can debate whether, yes, we all agree he should have said it, but we understand why.
Yeah.
And then at that point, once it came out, he was still trying to protect the kids and his friend, not realizing what she was going to do. And that's why we wish we
Yeah.
would-
Yeah. And I think that, again, we did try to do it to protect the kids. And I don't really feel bad for making us talk about it because, again, I think it would have been worse. But for some reason, viewers think that when we go into this experiment that like, well, you put your lies up here, we get to judge everything. Well, yeah, to a capacity, like to an extent, yes, because we also still have personal lives and families that didn't sign up for this stuff. So there are things about my mom or about other things that or my dad or grandma that I wouldn't share on camera. Even about myself, there are things that production always tells us, like, share what you're comfortable sharing, right? And so I think that the viewers are very, very entitled. But I get it.
You have to just remember
I get
there's
it.
millions of them.
Yeah.
And most of which are normal.
Yeah.
But 1% of millions is still a lot of annoying fucking people.
Yeah, exactly.
The 1% is the loudest.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And so, like, it's like, okay, guys, like, yeah, maybe we should have talked about it, but aren't you glad you got a glimpse? No, you want more.
Nope.
So, yes, I definitely, we had so many conversations on camera. And also, it's a sentence I say that wasn't shown, where I say something along the lines of during our, like, my beanie moment, where I'm like, look,
emo.
yeah, that was a mood. I'm like, look, I'm not saying that I'm gonna like go through with this all the way. I'm saying that along my way of trying, we don't have that long for these, days. Our days feel like weeks at a time in this scenario. I'm like, all I know is I don't want to argue every day. I don't want to be malicious every day. And that's a big testament to my growth because I could hold a grudge, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make sure that the little bit of time we had, I needed to use all of it. So we were doing this like 1 hour a day thing where we would talk about it 1 hour a day. And after that hour, that's it. Like, we'll table it. Let's go do this date. Let's go hang with friends. Because I didn't want to live in that moment. Our love story was so much more than that blip. And not saying that the children are a blip, because they'll attack me for that. But like I'm saying, then that blip of dishonesty and that blip of omission. And I'm a big person of trust. And so that was hard for me because omission is a lie. And I wanted to make sure that this was just a mistake and not a character flaw.
Did you feel like the trust between you and Tyler was broken at that moment?
It wasn't broken, but it was tainted.
Okay.
Well, that was my question. And I thank you for bringing this up because we all go into relationships and we all say trust is paramount. I need trust. You know, if you break that trust, I'm gone. And that all sounds great until you like live a situation that's a lot more nuanced and unsure. And even in relationships, people omit things, people lie to your face. How did you two work through this violation of trust at such an early stage of your relationship?
That's a great question. I think just continuing the conversation, I will say that the pods or just the whole experiment taught us a lot. I've never had this great of communication with any guy in my entire existence. I think that in the pods, they encourage you to have the tough conversations because you have such a short time to get to learn someone. So you know their traumas before you know their likes and their fun things. So every day, that's what we were doing is literally just continuing the conversation. And I also told him, I was like, there are gonna be days I'm not in the best of moods either. How are you gonna navigate that? Because maybe I just like am having a day where I'm trying to figure out like, what is this gonna be like? Like what is it gonna be like when it airs? I considered that. I don't think he was very naive to what this was gonna be when it aired. As far as the trust and like how to rebuild, there's no rule book for that either or a blueprint. I wish there was. I just had to like deep dive, or take a leap of faith and just say like, okay, I see this man and I know him and the people who ever meet him, it could be at Target and the way he treats people. There's no way this is the guy you guys are mischaracterizing online. People are good, but they ain't that good and damn sure not for a year.
Nope.
Yeah.
Not like,
What have you done to work with Tyler about his people pleasing? Because it's crazy. I mean, you tell this story, and what's crazy about this story is that like he almost lost you. I'm going to safely assume one of the best parts of his life, his now wife, for people pleasing.
yeah.
I mean, what he did for his friend is a noble thing. It was a great thing. And then for him to also enter into this family when her partner left, another noble thing. But should he have done it? You could argue maybe not.
Yeah.
Like his reasoning for doing it is because he wanted to he wanted to do the right thing, and it almost completely blew up in his face. And then he told you, but he wanted to do the right thing. But it's like this is a him problem, and an adult man. Like it's crazy how even trying to do the right thing could have a great cost to it. And it almost did. Like, how are you guys working through that as a couple? Because you have seen firsthand just how dangerous people pleasing can be.
Yeah. This is a conversation I have with him a lot. Like even at like in work or wherever, like there are boundaries.
Yeah.
There are boundaries. You can be a good person. I hate when he's like, oh, I'm just friendly. No. Like you can be a good person and still have boundaries. You can say no to your friends. Like when they need something some days. There are also times where you're not mentally available or emotionally available and you still pour into people and now you're drained at the end of the day and I'm taking care of you. You know, like, no, tell people I'll check in with you the next day. So I'm teaching him how to be mean. Not mean, but set boundaries and to stick to them and to be okay with that. And notice that setting boundaries does not mean you're not a good person or that you're not there for someone. It just means that you have to prioritize yourself.
Yeah, put yourself first.
Yeah.
You seem very emotionally brilliant.
Oh,
I
thank
mean,
you.
do you think that comes from your mom? I mean, how are you like
I'd say,
this?
like people used to say when I was younger, it's like a wise young lady. I don't know. I think that my intuition and like my discernment is good. And I think that I'm someone who always strives to not be a good person. That's so cliche, but like I have good intentions and I want people to treat me how I treat them. And I have a big heart and I'm very loyal and I've been burned by that a lot, but it never stops me from being that way. And I also just try to understand people, even from my friends, and then also hear what my friends say about me. Like I've had friends say like, oh, you're too blunt. I'm like, well, that's just who I am. But no, you need to treat that friend in a different way, you know, whereas another friend, you can be blunt, you know?
Right.
And it sounds like you're not afraid to have people frustrated with you or disappointed with you because that's how you set a boundary, because setting a boundary is removing access. So, and
I would decline calls. Sorry, girl.
Yeah,
I love you so much. I'm not emotionally available. I can't.
Well, thank you for being so transparent about this whole backstory and providing the much, much needed context. I have a few more questions for you about your castmates, but before we do, we have our texting office hours, and I think our audience would love to hear you give relationship advice to a caller. So it's time to put on the headphones.
The headphones.
And then we'll get to see what's next for Tyler and Ashley. And then we'll send her on her way. How's it going?
Good. I'm Sierra and I'm 38 and my boyfriend tells me I talk too much.
Oh, well, do you think he's right?
I think at times, yes.
Okay, fair. What don't you think is fair about that statement?
That it's because it's something that it usually has to involve feelings or something I'm trying to share about how I feel about a situation or something I'm passionate about.
Hmm.
And then I end up going more and more into information and maybe run on in my words.
And what do you think of, do you think your boyfriend doesn't listen enough?
He listens, but I know he's like, for lack of better words, ADD. And after the first couple sentences, he's stopped listening. Especially if I say how I feel, then he's like, okay, she feels that way. And it's like his brain has moved on to the next
So
thing.
he's gone and you're still explaining your feelings.
How long you been dating this guy?
14 months.
Okay.
And it is a really, I mean, I know there's always room for improvement for everybody, but it is a really healthy relationship, I will say. And it's good. It's just, I know that there's things that I have to work on. I've been working on myself for, I don't know, I've been in and out of therapy for 20 years. So I've always worked on myself and I know that I always have more to work on. But I also don't know if he, like past stuff, like he doesn't want, like something about feelings conversations triggers him. I don't know.
So what do you love about your relationship? Let's start there.
He loves me in a way that I've always wanted to be loved and didn't think that it existed.
Okay.
He accepts the love I have to give in the way that I give love. He accepts that and takes my love. And we do have good communication, just sometimes when it gets onto topics he's not comfortable with or my feelings, gets a little rocky. But
The only thing I'm confused about your statement is that, like, that all sounds nice, but your feelings are kind of a big deal in a
Mhm.
relationship. And then you
Mhm.
say that, like, anytime you express your feelings, he shuts down.
Mhm.
So how are you able to feel loved in the way you want to be loved if you can't ever express how you feel?
Yeah, I mean, he makes me on a daily basis. I mean, we do life together. I don't know how to go into detail about it, just your everyday life. Like, we don't have regular issues on a daily. Well, I will say we have a 19-year age gap. So that's something I also wanted to talk to you and Natalie about because I
Okay.
know you guys have an age gap.
Is he older?
Yeah, he's 57 and
Okay.
I'm 38.
Okay.
So he was married for 30 years. And
Mm.
and I've never been married. So obviously we come from two different backgrounds. So I don't know. I feel like maybe past issues, like he just, when a conversation's going to come up, it triggers him to want to because of the marriage. I don't know how detailed I'm supposed to go, but she was an alcoholic. And so she couldn't have conversations with him without having the liquid courage.
Well, I guess the only thing I would say, of not knowing anything about your situation, so not to compare ours with yours, but one thing I've had to learn, I had to learn, I guess we both had to learn, is that, like, our age gap wasn't an excuse to avoid, I guess, certain conversations, or I couldn't just be like, well, this is who I am, and I need you to accept where I'm at in life. I was like, I'm going to choose to be in a relationship with someone who might have a different background or a different point of view on life, and I couldn't always expect Natalie to meet me where I was at, and vice versa. We had to lean on more of what we had in common and then address our differences and then be willing to not use those differences as ways to be disconnected. The way you describe it, it's kind of like, hey, old dog, no new tricks, and I'm 57, and so, like, this is who I am, and therapy, you're like, whatever. I don't know if he's in therapy or anything like that, but it just seems he seems very set in his ways.
He is in a lot of ways. He is, and it is funny you said that. It is like harder with some generations, like they are the way they are, and I'm trying to integrate into, like, because I'm really big into. I've been in out of therapy. Read your book on top of tons of other books that have to do with emotion, reaction. How the mind and emotions work, how we are affected by those around us, how we take things, how we react to things. Really big on psychology stuff. So mental health is huge to me, and I'm way different than I was 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Sarah,
So,
sorry to cut you off. Did you say that his ex-wife was an alcoholic?
mhm,
So just listening to you, it could be just maybe something to explore. It could be that now he correlates women expressing themselves and their feelings
Ooh.
to the trauma of his ex being an alcoholic, and that being the only time that she would feel comfortable to express herself. So it's a little bit of trauma there. And I used to date an alcoholic, so I can definitely be a testimony to that. You don't want to talk to them when they're in that
mhm.
state, right? And so now, with you being a new woman, he's taking his past experiences and unfortunately putting it into his new relationship. And maybe that's something that you guys could explore when he's emotionally and mentally available to do so.
Mhm.
Is he in therapy? Is he even open to the idea?
Yes, he is in therapy. So what brought him to therapy? So between the wife and ex-wife and me was a relationship and of about 6 years. And she passed in a very unfortunate accident. And then very shortly after, he's messaging me, and I was very open, and I was like, "You are in a very, very traumatic time, and it's very soon." And we talked about everything, and I voiced all my concerns. And that hasn't posed any issues. He's followed through with all of his words, everything he's ever said to me, he's shown me. Like he didn't just like I said, I don't want to be a band-aid, basically, to this trauma that he experienced. And I've not felt like one.
Have you tried couples therapy?
I really want to.
Well, the only reason I
should.
suggest that is just because your problem, and I think Ashley makes a great point, is like, Natalie and I do couples therapy. And then, like, I know a lot of people go in there and try to have the people fix their partners and shit like that. But for us, it's really just like anytime there's a disconnect, or sometimes, Natalie, if we're in an argument and we realize, like, we could either argue for half a day about this, or we could call a therapist and have him play mediator almost. And given your issue with your partner, he's having a hard time articulating his feelings, or having a hard time letting you articulate yours and hearing you out. And a good couples therapist will allow you the space to share while he'll be watching your partner. And he'll hopefully see the trigger, and maybe at that point, look at your partner and go, wait, what's going on here? And that way, hopefully that could be the space where you start expressing your feelings. Now, that's not sustainable. You have to get to a place where you can do this with a therapist. But a good couples therapist will do exactly what your partner's having a hard time doing. Will allow them and find a way for you guys to find that common ground. And the fact that he's open to therapy might be a good suggestion, but it might be a lot easier than you at 38 trying to change your 57-year-old boyfriend on your own and get him to open up. It might just be a lot easier to, if you have the means to bring in the old professional.
Yeah. So that was what took him to therapy, was that trauma of losing his mate. And so that's why he's in it. But of course he talks about his parents and his children and his, other things, but he is in it. I do want to try couples therapy because he does have a little bit of a block just when it comes to like topics on my feelings. And it's not that he's against my feelings or doesn't care, but it does, something is triggered and he does shut down a little bit, and he just doesn't he only wants to hear it once.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get a little bit in my past, I've not expressed myself. I've just shut up and do what you're told, and wasn't healthy mentally, and allowed relationships to just be unhealthy.
Yeah. I feel like, again, without trying to, we could sit here and guess all different approaches you could take, but like you said, like it seems like a daunting task to try to do this on your own. And his individual therapy isn't going to necessarily address this because, like you said, who knows what he could be addressing? Shit, he might be talking about things he experienced as a 10-year-old boy. And there's so, he's got his ex-wife and his ex-girlfriend who passed. So you have specific requests and specific needs as it pertains to your relationship with him. And that's where a couples therapist can come in, because you need to be able to get your feelings out. He needs to hear them. He needs to acknowledge them, and he needs to do it in a safe environment. And hopefully that couples therapist will create that. At least it's a good place to start.
Yeah. But I think it's something that we should really look into, because I think it would really help combat.
Yeah.
And then on the age gap thing, is there any, advice or?
My advice would be to not accept the age gap as an excuse for disconnection, I guess, is the simplest way. Like at no point is, well, I'm just 18 years older than you, is an acceptable answer. You guys are in a committed relationship. And I think a lot of people would. So it's never an excuse to use your age gap as a reason to stay disconnected from your partner. And if that is the case, then you guys need to find different ways to connect.
Yeah, I think that my insecurities being younger, being I don't know how to put it, but I'm just younger, and I'm just you're just no, don't know. I've been around longer. Not that he says that, but that's.
Well, that's my point. It's just Natalie might be a lot younger than me, but she's my equal. And the moment I didn't think she is, then we shouldn't be together. And so if you start seeing yourself as not as his equal, then you won't be his equal. So
It's also, I feel like, focusing on what you have in common, and then the stuff that you don't have in common. It's more of like an excitement to show each other what you don't have in common. You know, like Nick loves showing me these older movies that came out when he was a kid, and it's like I wasn't even a thought in my mother's head. And it's like something that we enjoy rather than him being like, "Oh God, you weren't even a thought when this movie came out." You know, it's more of like, "Oh, I really want to show you." So I feel like it's like focusing on the stuff that you have in common and enjoying the things that you don't have in common.
Yeah. Don't overthink it.
Yeah, we do that pretty good. It's just the feelings part.
It is a big deal. It's not sustainable to have them ignored. And honestly, I think if you have the means, I would say couples therapy would be the easiest way to tackle this problem.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for the call.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Great
take
to
care.
see you.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Whew.
That was intense.
Yeah.
I know you have to get going.
Yeah.
I have 2 questions.
'Kay.
What's next for you and Tyler? Let's start there.
Wow. So now that the show is out and, you know, we're just kind of able to finally soon, well, not yet, but soon able to post each other and what we just want to like be public. We just want to be public. We want to travel and post our travel. I've been on so many sneaky links this year with my husband, but no one knows. So yeah, we're just ready to kind of like continue building.
Can I ask how hard is that whole day, like concealing your relationship for over a year?
So it's a dual thing. It's a dual effect. Like the plus side is like, we're in this little bubble. No one knows about us. No one can harm us. Right. But then there's the damn, like I do want to show you off and I do want to like be happy to be married and it's something I've always wanted and only very few people know.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm ready for just the simple things. Like I want to just post out to eat. I just want to, you know, just travel and enjoy being newlywed publicly.
Kids?
Yeah. So originally he was saying like in a year, which we quickly found out was not a thing. Like no way.
A year it goes fast.
Like, let's be clear. Yeah,
goes very
it went
fast.
so fast. I'd say in 2 years, we'll try. You know, we'll start to begin the process. I do want a kid before 35. I'm 32.
Yeah.
I want a kid before 35. I'm still working on my patience also to make sure that I am.
You seem very patient. So
Wow, thank you. I've
yeah.
been really working on it. I've been reading a lot.
It's working.
I really
Whatever you're
have.
doing is working.
Yeah, because usually, like when I'm with my friends, all my friends have kids. Not all, but most of them have kids. And I have a godson who's born on my birthday. He's 14 now, so he doesn't want anything to do with me right now. But it's fine. But when I'm around my friends' kids, it's just like, okay, this was fun. And then like my friend, best friend Casey, she's used to all like the loudness. But they always know when I come over, like Auntie Ash or whatever. I'm like, okay, all that ruckus in there, like you know, she ignores it.
Inside voices.
She blocks it out. She doesn't even hear it. I do. I get annoyed. I'm like, okay, this was fun, girl. Thanks for the wine.
Yeah, listen, I don't even like kids. I don't even like dogs, but
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with my dogs and my child
That's
is
what they
mine.
say. Yeah.
Final question.
Yeah.
Which guy from your cast was the biggest surprise once you got to know him?
Well, there was Ramses and then Steven with the kinks and the lying and then Tim with the like you took a nap, I never want to see your face again.
My biggest shock was Steven.
Okay. And do you want to elaborate?
Steven was they don't even show how many times I've talked to Steven while filming and just like trying to encourage him, and because you know he was having doubts at one point, and also just like Steven was this great guy that everyone knew Monica and Steven were getting married, and so to find out we get back to Arlington and he does this thing, I unfollowed him. He was despicable to me, and the only reason I followed him again is because Monica gave him grace, and she was like, don't hold a grudge against him. I was like, you calling dogs off? Not Tim's dogs, but my own. But my own, yeah.
But we got to talk to her. I'm worried that she doesn't want to see who Steven really is in order to protect herself.
Yeah.
Nick's hard against Steven.
Yeah.
Me too.
That was a big lie.
Yeah.
Talk about stealing an opportunity from someone.
Wait, what?
Just the whole how Steven
Yeah.
thing went about and the sleep test and the text messages. And
Oh, it was a huge lie.
Like, yeah.
I mean, it was just like.
I don't even know if he was there. I don't know. He keeps saying he was. I don't know if he was at the sleep test. All I do know is when it comes to this experience similar to my own, any sort of betrayal and trust is huge. And it's even worse when it's with another woman in that way, because it's like, dang, like, you know, and it almost makes women afraid to share that they've been hurt before in that way. Because it's almost like men are like, oh, you're used to this. I'll do it to you. You'll stay. You know, and then he was very emotionless when he left. He's like, well, sorry, I wasted your time.
Remember when he
Gone.
looked in the camera?
Yeah, like what the hell?
And was like, I'll probably never what did he say?
I'll never live this down.
never
or
live this
something like
down.
that.
He's
And his
apologized to me so many times.
But then he went online, and the first thing he posted was trying to paint himself as a victim by
Yeah.
basically saying, "Oh, people are gonna like." I don't know. It was very
Being disappointed by the idea
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
made
It's
of
like
me.
no,
it started in
you're a
Cabo
fucking liar.
with that conversation with women are going to give me
Yeah.
oral sex
Mhm.
Yep.
when they
They're
find
going to
out
be
about me.
offering it.
sliding
yeah.
in the DMs a
I
year
was like,
later.
oh, okay, this is not the
No, they're
Steven that
not.
I knew that was talking about Ryan Gosling in movies with me in the pod.
You know.
But they're
Like,
not
this is weird.
also. No
Yeah.
one's trying to give you.
All right.
Ashley, we really, really appreciate you taking the time. We
Thank
know you have
so
to
much.
go.
Yeah. We can stay. It's like,
stay.
one more for the
Yeah.
road. One more for the road. One more for the road.
One more for
Well,
the
I
road.
want to hear
One more
about
for the-
Tim. And we didn't get to Tim and
Alex?
Alex.
Yeah, what do you know about that? What's your take?
I do know that there was no extra fight that everyone thinks there was. There was a fight off of camera, and also people think that we have cameras in our rooms when we go to sleep. So
They should.
They should kinda
there
wish you
should
did.
have
You guys
hidden
need to
cameras
put
all over the house.
cameras
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the
like 11
apartments.
p.m. Like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
up
Love
until
Island
like 7 to 8
style.
a.m.
Yeah,
or
well, because
so.
similar to your situation, I felt like we were kind of just dropped in the middle of a conversation with them.
Yeah.
My big question with Alex is why didn't she pick up her place like at all?
I asked her that, and she was like, I didn't want to even film there. I'm like, girl, you tripping because I cleaned my place before I
Oh,
left.
yeah.
And then had my mom come dust because, when the sun comes in through the blinds, you get dust
throw it in
everywhere.
the closet.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
whatever.
She was, I think we all were in a hectic panic because we found out very soon that we're casted before we leave. They keep you in suspense. And so I think that maybe Alex, love you, girl. You know I do. But she's late to everything.
Mm.
It is a character flaw. And I told her do better in 2025. If you don't do it in 2025, do better in 2026. I told her that. I told her that.
How does someone like Tim and Alex end up together? Because they look like they could not be more opposite.
I think it's the family bond. It's
Okay.
100% the family bond. They both really, 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 really love their families, and they both have had different experiences with resilience for their parents.
Okay.
And I think that's where they bonded. And I think when we got to the real world, there was a disconnect.
I also just want to say you looked absolutely stunning on
Thank
your wedding
you.
day.
Thank you.
And I hope that it just looked really beautiful.
It was
and I was
the
so happy
best
for
day.
you.
It was 68 degrees.
Yeah.
Taylor's was 50. Love you. Love you too. But yeah, I had a sunny day. It was like, it was perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming.
you,
This
guys.
was so
Thank
much
you so
fun. We
much.
wish you guys the best
Thank
of luck.
you.
Hopefully we'll get a chance to meet Tyler in person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.